Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and we are doing another update on the free T at the end. So in the last handful of videos, we've been working on getting the chassis as a roller, and we've gotten that all done. We got the brake lines done and one of the last updates on the car, and you guys saw that where we ran all the lines, plumbed everything in. I'm basically just waiting to do the bleeding of the brakes, and while I'm waiting on the body to come back from upholstery and the engine to get buttoned up, I need to work on some of the other parts that are important visually on the car. So one of those is the unique hubcaps that we have on the car. We get a lot of questions about those, on what they are. The wheels that we're running on the car, we're running wide 5, so from 36 up to 39 on Fords. They changed their bolt pattern from 5 on 5.5 to this wide 5 pattern. And these wheels were used on cars and trucks during that era. And then in 1940, they switched back to the solid steel wheels with the 5 on 5.5 pattern that we commonly see on older Fords. So these wheels were kind of popular when you look at some of the old photos of dry lakes and early hot rods. They were common to swap these wheels over because basically they were some of the first cars. 39 was the first year to get juice brakes. So you will oftentimes see guys that basically pulled out of the junkyard a whole entire swap, and they just swapped everything over: the drums, the brakes, the wheels of course, and they ran those. So we're kind of going with that earlier style look, and I think it looks really cool. So what we're running for the hubcaps on this is these are accessory spider caps. So basically these aren't your standard wide 5 hubcaps that came on pretty much everything else. These are the accessory stainless spider hubcaps. This is something that you could order at the dealership brand new, or you could walk in there and get as an accessory. It took me a while to gather up a full set of these, but I got a set of 6 actually through doing some buying from local friends, and I picked out the best. I use best very loosely, best set. And we've had them on the car, and they've looked okay for getting the look done. But now the car's all shiny, I can't just let these caps go. So I have one here that I've already finished, and I actually finished 2 of them already. But this one, put them next to it, big difference. There's barely even a shine to these anymore. So these have dirt, grime, all kinds of scuffs and scratches on them, and I want to get them polished up to a mirror polish like we have on the other caps I've done. The other thing I'm running is I am running 40 Ford trim rings on the outside that have the ribbed trim on them. These came on again as an option. You could get these on the car, and you commonly saw these on the Deluxes, the higher trim level cars. So I'm going to work on getting the last set of caps polished up, and I'm going to show you guys the process I've been doing for fixing these as far as the dents and the damage goes and the scratches, and bringing it all the way back so it looks like something that will match the body and the rest of the car. So let's get started. Okay, so after doing a little bit of work with the planishing hammer, I was able to get a lot of the major damage out that was just really wrinkled. In this part of the cap here, which now may be kind of hard to show on the camera, but right in here, you can kind of see some hazing, but basically there was some pretty bad damage all right in here that was caved in and was all rippled, and it was pretty bad. So now you can kind of just barely see where that damage was, like right in here. There's just kind of like halos of it, and what I like to do from now is kind of rough out all the real bad major damage that's caved in or wrinkled, high spots, get all them worked out. We'll work on some of these little kind of push marks right here on the edges, so I'll get the pick hammer and work those out, and once we got everything roughed in pretty good, then what we're going to do is take the DA sander with some 600 grit and work over the whole entire thing, and that's going to show us where there's going to be a lot of like spots that need more work, and some of this stuff will actually kind of disappear once you put a sander on it and take that just a tiny bit off the top. It'll start smoothing it out, and you'll be pretty surprised how much will come off, but you need to get that real bad damage taken away first before you can even begin to get an idea of what's going on here and you know, really fine tune it. So I'm going to work out all these little push marks on the with a pick hammer and the anvil, and then we'll go back and see what happens once we hit it with a sander. Okay, so I got the hubcap pretty much all sanded with 600 grit. Worked most of the dents out. There is some little, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't go crazy nuts. There are some little dents and imperfections in it that you can probably pick up in the light. Like in here, there's some little waves, little spots that I got a little lazy, but honestly, these caps, because they have so much shape to them, once you buff them all out, a lot of that kind of just disappears and looks like a little wave when you look at it, and we're already going way above and beyond what I expected this car to be, so I'm going to try and rein in the craziness of how far I go on polishing these. So I'm going to take these with some stainless steel polish here, and we're going to put this on the tight sewn wheel, and we're going to put some stainless steel polish on it, and we're going to try and work out all these 600 grit scratches, and then once all of them are gone, then we can jump over to the other wheel with the white rouge, and we can give it the final mirror polish show. So I'll show you guys the process for this and how we can take this from 600 grit to something that looks pretty good here real soon. Alright, so we got the first pass done with the stainless buffing compound on the tight sewn wheel, and we have a pretty darn shiny cap here. Big difference from what we started with. Now, you're going to spend the majority of your time on, especially with stainless, on the tight sewn wheel using that stainless compound. There is some other more aggressive wheels you can use to go up through the steps. This luckily is something that's not super flat, so it's a little more forgiving, so I can kind of jump around a little more quickly. So now that we have pretty much all the DA scratches out, that's the most important thing. You want to make sure that there's no heavy DA scratches in the panel. There might be some just light, very light little scratches that you may see, but there shouldn't be any like swirls from the DA or anything that's really deep. If you see those, you got to go back and kind of sand them. So sometimes when I buff or polish with the light loose stone wheel, I will find that some of these little scratches will show up afterwards. So sometimes I will buff the whole entire piece, and then I'll go back to the tight stone wheel just in the area where I see some DA scratches still, buff those out, and then go back. It's a lot easier to see those areas once everything is buffed or polished really nicely. You can go back and pinpoint those little areas that you maybe couldn't see right now. So I'm gonna spin this up, put some of the white rouge compound on it, and then we can start polishing and get our final mirror polish on it. Alright, so I got the last cap and trim all polished up like you guys saw in the video, and like you saw when we started, this thing was really rough and it came out super nice, and Moon is very excited to drool all over my nice shiny caps, which will happen inevitably. But as you guys saw, that was kind of the process. Now these caps, they have a little bit of waves and little imperfections in them that I'm just wasn't going to go that far with it. Now if you guys want to take it that far, you could sit there and hammer and dolly and knock everything out and get absolutely perfect. But because of the shape of these, Those little imperfections, they just turn into little waves. There's like a couple right here that honestly most people wouldn't notice, and I'm totally okay with. So I have one more to do in the rear, but we got the driver's side all polished up, and you can really start to see how the car is going to come together. Just doing this and rolling it out gets me really excited because I can picture a black shiny body, nice polished flathead in the front, and us ripping around in it. So this is definitely the fun step where we're polishing stuff on, putting shiny parts on, and it's really getting fun. So that's all I have for this one. If you guys that have not been following along real closely, we're debuting the car the second weekend in July at Viva East in Massachusetts. And you guys can come out and see it. If you're local, you can come out to the show, see the car. We're basically gonna have the car hopefully like 90% done. It may not be roadworthy, but it'll basically be done. You guys can check it out. Maybe talk to us a little bit and see the car in person. So I'm excited to meet anybody that can make it out to the show. We do videos on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. If you haven't, definitely hit the subscribe button and comment down below. What do you think of the trim rings and the hubcaps on the free T? Are they too over the top? I don't think they are. Thanks guys, catch you later.